Welcome to RTF Sports Talk with your host, Matthew Lau, joined here by Michael Buck Nasty the 17th and Grand Hefe the 2nd. How are we doing today, gentlemen?
Doing all right. Hey, I like how you change the numbers every day. That's noteworthy.
Life's changing, man. We can't stop it. We can just hop on board and ride with it.
Always moving forward, man. It's a beautiful day, beautiful day. How about them Cowboys?
Well, how about them? We'll get to them in a minute. How about them indeed? NFL's regular season's over, gentlemen. Like, it came and it went. Here we are. Playoffs next week. We're down to just 12. 20 teams are off preparing for the draft. Let's start with, what was your main takeaway from the 2018 regular season? Billy, we'll start with you.
It's a mixture of I guess on the field and off the field stuff. I guess both of them really relates to on the field, and that's the ever changing of the offense. Penalties geared towards the offense. I know we talked about this. People have talked about this for years. That the NFL is going soft, and sometimes I do agree. I think they need to take a look at some of these penalties. I think they need to dial back. I understand. Fans and stuff, they love scores. That's why we play fantasy football every single week, week in and week out, but people also like to see defense. People don't like to just see people just go up and down the field and score 67 times a game. Not everybody likes that. I think penalties in the offseason, I think that's really what they need to dial back into. But other than that, I think it was a pretty good season. This football season had a lot of ups, downs. It has a lot of what if. A lot of people thought that these teams would make it to the playoffs. They didn't. So kudos to the NFL for a little bit of what's it called? I guess the unknown. A little parody. Unlike college football, we already knew Alabama and Clemson was going to be there. We said it all year long. In the NBA, we already know the Golden State Warriors going to be there. Whatever team comes from the East, whether that be the Celtics or the Raptors or whatever. There's no parity there. In the NFL, there's plenty. That's why you get different playoff teams every single year. That there's football. So kudos to the NFL for at least a little bit of parity.
Mike, what about you? What was your main takeaway from 2018?
The biggest takeaway from the season so far is that the Eagles are still good. Somehow they snuck into the playoffs, and they are a team that you don't want to let in because they've been there, done that type of thing, and they can definitely do it again. Kirk Cousins is still overrated, as we saw last night. He does not perform in big games. Been that way for 8 or 9 games now in primetime games. He is 0-9 or 0-8. I can't remember for sure. The Packers are kind of sort of surprising to me. I really expected them to do well. I think a lot of us thought they were a NFC Championship, if not a Super Bowl caliber team, and they fell flat off the map. So the biggest takeaway is the parity, just like what you guys were alluding to, that anybody can beat anybody on any given Sunday, but we still also have those teams that are dominating too, but they can still lose too. Like we saw the Chiefs lose to the Rams. We saw the Rams lose to the Saints. We saw the Saints lose to trying to think of who they lost to earlier this year. Slipping my mind.
Cowboys.
To the Cowboys, yeah. So any team can beat anybody any given day, and I think that's why we love the NFL so much. That is that it can happen. We can complain about the refs being too hard on the cornerbacks and the safeties, calling everything from blocking in the back to an offensive foul. It doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, football is football, and we love it. It's parity. It's great. That's why the NFL is amazing. And the biggest takeaway from the season is definitely the downfall of the Packers, 100%.
Yeah, to Billy's point, just one little touch. I get it. I get the frustration with the flags and the rules, but I don't think it's changing. I think this year, and if you notice, I don't even think it got lighter throughout the year. The flags just decreased because teams started to adjust. So I think they want that transitional because I get it. You hear it all the time. This isn't football. Well, we've talked about that, Billy. The NFL doesn't want football equated to big hits anymore. They want football to be 50-point touchdowns or 50 touchdown seasons. You know, Patrick Mahomes, first player or second player ever to throw 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards in the same season, other than Peyton Manning, and he did it almost at the end of his career. I remember the first time a quarterback threw for 50 touchdowns or 5,000 yards. It was huge. They spent all day talking about it. Now Patrick Mahomes gets a graphic and we move on, and he's in his second year. So I think it was tough to deal with this season, and man, there was a lot of penalties. I bet this was the most penalties called probably in the history of the NFL, to be honest with you. But I think this is the direction they want you to go. This is them re-breaking the proverbial leg and letting it heal the way they want it to heal. And fans did groan. I saw a lot, being in a lot of social media groups, I saw a lot of upset fans. But guess what? They still kept watching. They still kept chugging along. They still kept, tuning into Red Zone, NFL Network, CBS, Fox. I get it was frustrating, but I think the NFL could not be happier where they're going. But let me just bring this whole circle together. I got to go with the parity, too. And it's not just the fact that we have parity. The fact that halfway through the season, we thought that the season was a done deal. I think the Chiefs were 7-1, the Rams were 7-1, the Saints were 7-1, and everyone else looked like they were dead in the water. I mean, you look at the rest of the playoff team. At this point, the Patriots were 5-3? They're done. The Texans were 4-4. They're done.
Colts
5-3 as well. Colts were 1-5. They're done. Get them out of here. Andrew Luck's overrated. The Eagles, Super Bowl champ repeat, not a chance. And then the last half of the season, to Mike's point, everybody started beating everybody. At least in a sense that we all stand a chance here now. I think that's the great thing, but I think that's also football. Even we talked about this a couple weeks ago when the Chiefs lost to the Chargers. Even though the rules are for the offense, even though the NFL wants 50-point games, the body isn't always prepared for that. So that's why I think the NFL is the sport that always needs the hardest salary cap, because no matter how good you are, your body's still going to get tired. No matter how light the tackles are going to be, the body still gets affected by getting hit. If football just became shoving you down, there was no tackles, no wrapping up, just pushing you to the ground. You get pushed to the ground 100 times in a year, your body's going to take an effect. And I think that's just how the NFL is going to work. Even when teams, look at the Patriots, 16-0, can't be stopped. By the time they got to game 19, they kind of could. So I think that's why the NFL, to my point, is always going to lead itself to parity. But I think this year, the way it flipped from just, it's easily going to be Chiefs, Rams, Super Bowl. Easily going to be Chiefs, Saints, Super Bowl. Not so fast, my friend. Mike even said it himself. He's a little nervous as a Chiefs fan having Andrew Luck and the Colts potentially come to them. As a Patriots fan, I'm nervous having the Chargers even come into Foxborough. As much as I hate on Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens are doing something right. So I think at the end of the day, there's still parity, and I think this playoffs is going to be very interesting.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with that point.
All right, guys. So let's go in a little. Let's hone that scope in a little bit. Biggest takeaway from Week 17 from yesterday's game. Mike, we'll start with you.
Biggest takeaway is Teddy Bridgewater is still not going to be a starter just like anywhere. I believe Hatton, he kind of alluded to that he hadn't started since 2016, since he tore up his knee, and has kind of been a backup since then. And I think he's going to be a backup starting the 2019 season just as well. I think his performance yesterday showed you that he may not even be on the team this next year. So the biggest takeaway is him just kind of throwing away millions of dollars and just having a horrible game. So hopefully he can right the ship somehow, some way. I don't really see that happening. I think he's going to be a quarterback coach at some college by the end of next year.
That's some bold words right there, Mike.
That's some bold
quarterback
coach. I'm not going to go that far because Teddy's still young, and let's be real, it's a quarterback position. Somebody somewhere
in the NFL,
right? Somebody somewhere is going to pick him up. But I think let's keep talking about just football for a second before we get to Billy's takeaway, because when you do the NBA and MLB, if you struggle, like Klay Thompson is having the worst shooting percentage of his career. But I guarantee you, by the time the playoffs get here, he'll be fine. Just because you do something 82 times, you do something enough, you're going to go through waves and you're going to be okay. NFL is different. You only get a certain amount of time, a certain amount of shots, a certain amount of opportunity. They're not very forgiving. Teddy, that leg's probably 100% healed physically. But what's it doing to him mentally?
Yeah.
What happens when that pocket starts to close? What happened from just sitting 2 years? Did his arm tighten? He's
That was
not
going to
going
be my point.
He's not going to get 82 games to just go nuts. Like, yeah, if he was an NBA player, I'd be like, oh, Teddy be fine. He'll be starting by next year. But he's not. And he's not even a receiver where he can get some opportunities.
Yeah.
I think he took 3 or 4 snaps this year, and the only reason he took those 3 or 4 snaps is because he played for a coach that for some reason likes to get creative. Well, I don't want to say some reason. I know why he does it. He likes to get creative and lined up 3 quarterbacks with Taysom Hill, Teddy Bridgewater, and Drew Brees all in the same backfield. But if it wasn't for that, the man would have just been still collecting dust. So I'm not going to go as far as what Mike said to say he's going to be coaching in the next couple of years, but I do think that window is closing. But, Billy, you're
Yeah, I think that was a tad bit of a stretch for a guy that really don't get to see everyday football action outside the scout team.
We'll see.
But
we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it could be true. I'm not saying it now. I'm just saying that's a tad bit extreme to be quarterback coaching somewhere next year. He's only 25 or 26 or something like that. He's still
he's
young.
Not too old.
But I think I have a few takeaways, and one of those takeaways, the first two will be really quick, and that's the Bears might be a for real team. You know, I came into yesterday, I thought the Minnesota Vikings would slide into the playoffs then. They were at home.
Yep.
They needed this win. They wanted to go see the Bears at Soldier Field. This Bears team with Matt Nagy leading the helm, I think this Bears team could be something. 2, the Steelers are just a mediocre team without a good running back. That's what it seems like to me all year long. They've been mediocre. They struggling. They started out slow, then they hit they hit the gas a little bit. There were no traffic. I think they went like 3 or 4-0. And then after that, you know, they finished the season. I believe they only won 2 of their last 3, winning against the Patriots and the Bengals, and then they lost to the Broncos, the Raiders, the Chargers. I just think they're a mediocre team without a running back. My real takeaway is Nick Foles should be the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know what it is. He may not be better than Carson Wentz. I don't think Carson Wentz is that good anyways, but Nick Foles may not be better than Carson Wentz. But it's just something about the way a team responds to certain guys. We all know Lamar Jackson is not better than Joe Flacco, but he's doing something right. 6 of their last 7, that just don't come by accident. You know, and the fact that he's not making that many mistakes, you know, it says something. Nick Foles come right in, and it seems like the Eagles don't miss a beat. That tells me that that Carson Wentz is a system guy. So that means anybody, as long as your defense can step in and do the same thing, the Eagles may be a for real team. I don't think they'll go far, but it's something to be said about what Nick Foles has done 2 years in a row.
Yeah, and just to add to some points there, the Chicago Bears are a very good team, but Kirk Cousins is just not a big game quarterback. He can play well in the regular season 1:00 afternoon games, but the minute it gets into a prime time situation, a pressure situation, he is not worth that $84 million. He's worth $10 million at the end of the day. I mean, just Kirk Cousins is not that good.
That's the thing. So your point about Teddy Bridgewater and Kirk Cousins, yeah, worse maybe. But you play quarterback, and the problem with quarterback is the market says you're not going to get one cheap. And it may not be very valuable. It may not even be a good quarterback. But if you want one at all, you're going to pay for it.
They had 3.
I think that's where you see the demise of and that's the thing. But they didn't think that was it. I don't know. I mean, that's the risk you always take. But even with that being said, look at those 3 quarterbacks. They're all getting paid more this year than they were last year. That's just how the NFL works with a quarterback. I don't agree with it. I think once a team pays the quarterback, they're done. To some of Billy's point, it's going to be interesting to see because, for the most part, Chicago Bears had very little to gain by playing their starters. I mean, really all this, because the Rams jumped out to such a huge lead, they pretty much knew their shot at getting that 2 seed was gone by the first quarter. But they still kept on trucking. And it's interesting because they were essentially picking their opponent. Because since they beat the Vikings, they get to play the Eagles now. If they had lost to the Vikings, they would have to play that Vikings team. So they were essentially just picking their opponent. I'll be interested to see how that works out. And also, along with the Chicago Bears, the Dallas Cowboys had no business playing that game other than just to be playing it. And they played everybody. Almost got Vander Esch hurt, but he came back. It's going to be interesting to see if that pays off, or does giving Drew Brees and Alvin Kamara 2 weeks off, it's the old rest versus rust argument. So I'm very curious to see those. Is the Chicago Bears a legitimate team? I hate to start drinking the Kool-Aid, especially after giving Mike such a hard time. And I'm scared of the Colts. I mean, what's going on with them down there?
Yeah, something is clicking. I mean, they're like 7-1 in their last 8 or something like that.
They're 9-1 in the last 8.
Yeah, 9-8. Yeah.
I mean, if you go back and look,
they're doing something right.
If you gave them the 3 games they lost by 7 points or less, which I know it's football, you could probably do the same thing the opposite way. But if you gave them when they started 1-5, they lost 3 games by 7 points or less. They would be 13-3, by far the number 1 seed in the conference. That's crazy. I mean, obviously, you got to take a lot into consideration. If they would have started 7-2, they probably would have not played with such edge down the stretch. So a lot of things could have been taken in factors. But they're very scary. So we'll start with Billy. What team in the NFL, aside from the 4 teams getting the bye, now that the playoffs are set, what other 8 teams scares you the most? And you're saying, okay, I'm riding with this squad to the Super Bowl.
Well, I would say the Chargers, but I've already said that. That's boring, right? So I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks. This team, once they get in the playoffs, is a scary, scary team. Russell, and to be honest, I think they kind of got a real an easy first-round matchup. Even though they're having to travel to Dallas, honestly, I don't see a difference. They're going to be playing in a dome. So Russell Wilson is going to be able to get comfortable. His legs are going to get loose. You don't have to worry about playing outside in that cold weather. You know, Doug Baldwin, he could just play loose. Clark, I like Seattle. They're going to make a lot of noise. This is a veteran crew, a team with 2 guys leading the charge that's been there and done that. The Seattle Seahawks is going to be a scary team moving forward.
Mike, what say you?
Seattle's going to make a lot of noise flying on that plane back to Seattle, shedding those tears when they take that loss from the Cowboys. But
get out of here.
But the most scariest team, like Matthew, alluded to it, it's got to be the Colts. They are They are peaking at their right time. They are clicking on all cylinders. They had that one hiccup against the Jaguars where the offense was just horrible, non-existent, but that defense still showed up, and your defense always travels. It doesn't matter if they're traveling to New England, to Kansas City, anywhere they end up traveling, that defense is going to show up and play well. My only concern with the Colts is did they peak too early? Are they tired? Are they wore out? Or are they still on the incline? That is my only concern. Like with them winning 9 of their last 10, I believe we like we said, that's the only concern I have for them. But they are definitely the most dangerous team out there.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. With the Colts, I think I get what you're saying with the peaking, but the only fatigue-wise I think you have to worry about is Andrew Luck's on, because I think they play 8 offensive linemen. He will throw to anybody. Me and us 3 could go out there and probably come away with a touchdown. I mean, he's just throwing to guys. You get the ball. You already knew T.Y. Hilton, and then this year he's like, oh, here's Rodgers and Ebron, and then there's this number 81, who used to be a basketball player, and then there's this receiver, number 15. You ain't heard of him, but you will after this. Here's number 11. You haven't heard of him, but you will today. then Marlon Mack comes out. Started out strong last year, built on it this year. So here, let's give it to number 20. He'll be good. Let's give it to this other running back. He'll be solid. And you're just, I hate to say it, 'cause I know with the numbers and the impressive wins, Andrew Luck's not going to win MVP, and we all agree with that. But if you think most valuable to the just sense of the term, it has to go Andrew Luck, because if you take him away from that team team's probably 1-15 again. I mean, that's a bad team. Even with Jacoby Brissett,
he is definitely looking like
team.
A young Tom Brady too.
So, well, I don't know. I mean, Tom Brady. Yeah, we'll get into that discussion another day. I mean, I like Tom Brady, but his first couple of seasons was dink and dunk and rely on that defense and that bad weather. So speaking of Tom Brady, though, as a Patriots fan, let me ask you guys a question, and you can check my fandom. I'm actually very excited about the Colts. I found myself rooting for the Colts last night because, and look, any team can beat anybody. I mean, shoot, the Super Bowl could be the Colts versus Eagles. That'd be crazy, both 6 seeds, but it could be. But as a Patriots fan, is it okay for me to be excited because I think the Colts can beat the Texans? I even think the Colts can go into Kansas City and beat the Chiefs. That as a Patriots fan, I would rather play the Colts in Foxborough than travel to Kansas City. Do I have legitimate hype to root for the Colts to get there? Or am I setting myself up to failure because by then the Colts might be too hot to stop? Billy, how should I feel?
I don't know really how you should feel. I think either matchup I think will be tough. The way that they're swinging the ball around in that secondary for New England, outside of really Gilmore, I'm not really sure. Even McCourty has kind of taken a step back this year. I'm not sure really if New England really want to play either of those teams. Maybe the Chargers because they don't swing it around as much. But when they do, when the two Williams kids get going, and Keenan Allen can get going, and Phillip Rivers can get hot, I don't really know if you really want to play any of those teams right now, especially considering how the Patriots has played as of late. So, honestly, I don't even know.
Mike, what say you?
If the Colts beat the Texans, if they beat the Chiefs, you do not want to face them. This is a team on a trip, on a train ride that's not going to get derailed very easily. It would kind of be, it would remind me of the Pittsburgh Steelers when Jerome Bettis was like, hey, this is my final game, or like this is my final year, and they snuck into the playoffs as that 6th seed and they ran through everybody. And if the Colts make it to the AFC playoffs, the Patriots don't want any part of it. They don't want to play them. You should be highly scared of that.
Well, to Billy's point, yes, I am concerned about our secondary, but I think the best secondary person we have isn't even a person. It's the city of Foxborough in late January. That is my only hope, that the Colts come in and we get about a foot of snow, game day. That game day snow where it looks like that Raiders game. That's about the only thing that's going to slow down a hot Andrew Luck and those receivers. The
Patriots do kind of have the Colts number in the playoffs, so they really haven't been as successful against the Patriots in the play. Even dating back to when Peyton was there, they really haven't played well against or in Foxborough or against the Patriots. So I think that's going for the Patriots. Since you like history, I think that goes for you.
Peyton Manning also wasn't a big game quarterback either. I mean, neither is Andrew Luck. He could do great in the regular season, be 15-1, 14-2, and they lose in the first round.
Breaking news: Bengals finally fired Marvin Lewis. Thank God. Lord have mercy.
And the
the
Broncos coach got fired too.
And the Dolphins fired Gase.
The Broncos fired Van Joseph this morning too, right before we got on. It's a coaching carousel today. They call it Black Monday today or something like that.
Something like that. And the Cardinals are talking about firing their coach as well.
To take a little side of that, I'm a little concerned about that. Look, I get it, but you have a young quarterback, and if this was your 3rd or 4th year, that's cool. I get it. But, I mean, to be your first year, then why did you hire the guy to begin with? That doesn't make any sense. If you were only going to give it 1 year, and let's be honest, I don't know the guy's name.
And they fired the offensive coordinator early in the year.
Right.
if you were truly that good, you would have got somebody who we knew the name. So
Yeah, I don't even know who their coach is, honestly.
And I think, not to just bust out of all sports in general, but I think that just shows you the temperature of today's climate and culture. There are so many pop-up stars, whether it be Sean McVay taking a bad Rams team and making them Super Bowl contenders instantly, whether it's Patrick Mahomes coming really out of nowhere from Texas Tech, and he put up good numbers at Texas Tech, but who doesn't, to setting records along the line of Peyton Manning. Or look at Tua, whatever his name is, Tua at Bama, replacing a 26-2 starting all-time great in Bama quarterback, because they haven't really had great quarterbacks, replacing him as a freshman in the championship game.
At halftime.
At halftime. Right. And then winning it. And we see this happen, that everyone else doesn't, they think it's so easy to get that no one's getting time. Because they say, hey, if we fire Billy Hatton after 1 year, I can get Sean McVay next year. And if it doesn't turn into Sean McVay, I can fire him until I get my next Sean McVay or quarterback. I mean, look, in the last 2 years, freshmen coming into college, five-star quarterback. If they don't start day one, I'm transferring. Justin Fields, Georgia. Kyler Murray, Texas A&M. I mean, obviously it worked out well for him down the stretch, but the few oddities about guys just popping up and saying, hey, this is me, this is who I am, I think it is costing a lot of people their jobs, because it is absurd to fire a head coach not even 1 year after you hire him. Because I guarantee you they didn't hire him the day after the season ended. They probably thought about it for a little bit, interviewed some people, got him in. So if they fire him today, you gave him about 10 months on the job. I'm concerned if I'm a head coach. That's why I think, everybody talks about, this coordinator is going to leave, or why hasn't Josh McDaniels left the Patriots, or what about the D coordinator down at Clemson? Why is he not taking these jobs? Because if you take the wrong job, you're gone next year. If Josh McDaniels takes the 49ers or takes the Cardinals job or the Jets job, and he struggles that first year, he could be gone.
So just sit back and a new coach.
Yes, just sit back and be a coordinator for Tom Brady, and you'll make unlimited money. And if you're lucky, you might luck into like Steve Kerr did with the Warriors. You might luck into that kind of thing.
If you go 4-11 or 3-12 your first season, and you have a rookie quarterback that doesn't make any get any more improved throughout the season, it's time for you to go, because you're not connecting with that guy, with your franchise quarterback that you spent a first overall draft pick on. So that's why he's leaving, is because the quarterback
But he's a rookie, though.
Improved.
Does he even get a chance? Does he get a chance, though? Like, this season was bad. Matthew said it earlier in the year that he's never seen that guy break his hand and then come back and act like he couldn't run the football. David Johnson has not been the same this year. This guy was in the running of best running back in the league, just 2 years ago. And now most new fans probably wouldn't even know who he is. The Arizona Cardinal fan probably don't even know who he is anymore. Peterson want to leave. That defense is bad. Larry Fitzgerald is 67 years old. I just don't know what he could have did with this roster, honestly, with a rookie quarterback that seems to like to throw the ball also to the other team. I don't know. And to Matthew's point, it's tough, man, to say, oh yeah, I think I'm gonna leave this job to go take a job somewhere else, because that team is not going to show you loyalty. Like, everybody can't be Josh McDaniels and want to come back. That's a good atmosphere right there. That's the atmosphere you want to be in. After 1 year, I'm gone. I don't want to be in that atmosphere. I'm sorry. I just don't. So they probably did him a favor by firing him after year one.
Perform.
Or talking about firing him after year one.
Let me give you a quarterback. Let's just say, Michael Buckmeister, you are a coach of NFL Team A, and you got this quarterback. His rookie season, he throws 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Okay, he got hurt, whatever. You had somebody better there. We're going to give you the second year. You struggle. The next year, he comes in, goes 17-16. Should we fire you? Because the third year, he goes 11 touchdowns to 15 interceptions. Should we fire you by this point? Because if so, we just shot ourselves in the foot because that's Drew Brees.
But those
judge.
stats that you just told me, that telling me that quarterback is not improving. He is being mediocre.
But they stuck out with
should you get fired?
Yeah, should you get fired? Because they stuck with the coach. And let me tell you what he did next year: 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 24 touchdowns. Then he got hurt and they got rid of him. But he's good. Not everybody is Patrick Mahomes.
But
not everybody's, hey, this is my second year, so 50 touchdowns.
Whatever, just stop.
I just think with a rookie quarterback, I just don't think you should get fired after your first year with a rookie quarterback. I don't see that.
I'm sure there is more happening on the backside of things, though.
But that's the problem.
They started the season with Sam Bradford. That's even worse.
That is exactly. That is the problem with today's culture, is because there are certain people. There are LeBron Jameses. There are LeBron Jameses who, from the day he stepped on freshman of high school, the man's on ESPN cover. There are LeBron James. There's even Kevin Durant that the rookie year putting up numbers. Has anyone looked at Steve Nash's first 5 years? They're horrendous. Some people just take a little longer to get going. And some relationships, some offenses take a little time to start gelling.
Well, a head coach doesn't have time. It is what have you done for me now?
And that's absurd. And for these teams that are firing their coaches in the first 3 years, and the coach hasn't done anything wrong, especially if they're a new first-time head coach, for these organizations, I wish nothing but the worst for you. I hope the Jets never.
Yeah, you should already knew there was going to be growing pains with a first-time head coach and a rookie quarterback.
I hope the Broncos never see another playoff if that's how they're going to be. If Arizona gets rid of their man in the first year, I hope they get 10 head coaches over the next 10 years. I hope they never find success. Because there's something, yes, it's great to find your Patrick Mahomes. But you know what else? It goes the other way too. Everybody's hyping, and I don't know what Baker Mayfield's career holds. Everybody's hyping that he threw 26 touchdowns his rookie season. The man's going to, the climate's already out the roof. This man may get a contract extension after his first year. I mean, but Dak Prescott threw 23 touchdowns his first year. The book's still out on him. I mean, you're going to overpay. It happened with Matt Flynn. The man threw 7 touchdowns in one game. You throw a whole bunch of money at him, and he never started another game. Some people, you just got to let things roll out. And if they fire a coach after 1 year, I wish nothing but the worst of them. I hope Larry leaves them, because that's the only respectable thing in that organization. I hope Larry bounces, come to New England, get a real quarterback. I guarantee you at 67, as Billy said, if Larry Fitzgerald went to the Saints, Chiefs, Patriots, Colts, he would have had 30 touchdowns this season.
He would have started.
Did you see the touchdown he had? He caught a touchdown with 3 fingers yesterday. Never even tucked it in, just kind of guided it in.
He does have some of the best hands in history.
At 50-year-old, the man's still just catching everything. So I hope, if they fire him, I hope Larry goes somewhere else, gets him a ring. I don't care where he goes. I'd root for any team he went to. And I hope that the Arizona Cardinals are just not the Cleveland Browns now, but what the Cleveland Browns
I think it's
a
social media climate. I think it's just a social media climate. As you said earlier, we can go get somebody else. We got options. It doesn't matter. We can go get this Cliff Kingsbury or Lincoln Riley. You know, who knows? And I think that's what it is. There's really no loyalty anywhere in sports, which is the reason, why I tell the players. I mean, that's why I like the players. Go wherever you want to go, because in the organization there are no loyalty. You're finding a guy after 1 year. That's crazy to me. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't really get it.
I mean, yeah. But then again, it goes both ways. And look, I don't want to hear about dream jobs. I get it. But what about the new Miami football coach in college? He accepted the Temple job.
Manny Diaz.
Yeah, he accepted the Temple job 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think Miami missed the goal on that. I don't know if they was expecting Mark Richt to retire, because I was seeing a lot of reports about Manny Diaz probably going to leave if he doesn't get a job. I think Miami missed the trigger on that, and by the time Mark Richt retired, he had already agreed, I guess, to take the Temple job, but not anymore.
All right, guys, before we wrap up the show here, had some pretty good conversation. It's a really great NFL season. I'm going to hit you with just one real quick pick. We're going to do this one more time. Just kind of, like I said, just kind of keep a temperature of how we feel with the playoffs rolling. I'm going to give you a matchup. You give me a winner. We're going to go all the way to the Super Bowl. We're going to try to make it quick with this. Billy, we're starting with you. Let's start in the AFC. Give me a winner. Texans, Colts.
I got the Texans winning that game.
Chargers, Ravens.
I think they're home. Chargers, Ravens. I got the Chargers winning.
All right. So then you would have Chargers, Chiefs at Kansas City. Who you got?
I got. That's tough. I don't know which Kansas City Chiefs team we're going to get, so I'm just going to stick with my Super Bowl pick, and that's the Chargers.
All right. Patriots, Texans.
I got the Patriots.
Patriots at Kansas City. Patriots or Chargers at Patriots. Sorry.
That's tough. I just came back against Brady with the Super Bowl on the line. I'm gonna go Patriots.
Love it. I'm over to the NFC.
After picking the Chargers to
Eagles
make
at
it to the
Bears.
Super Bowl.
I hope the Chargers do make it. I
Yeah.
want to say the Chargers. I just can't bet against Brady in that
Yep.
spot.
You're right.
Eagles at Bears.
I got the Bears.
Seahawks at Cowboys.
Seahawks.
Who would it be then? It would be Seahawks at Saints.
I got the Saints.
And then
the
Bears at
Rams
Rams.
as well.
All right. Rams versus Saints.
Saints.
Brady versus Breeze. Who you got?
I got the Saints in that one.
All right. Billy, as of today, this is an ever-changing climate. We'll do it again after the first round of the playoffs. As of today, of course, we'll get the pick later in the week. As of today, Billy says Saints winning. He's been pretty consistent. Hopping over to here to Buck Nasty. We're going to start with you. Colts versus Texans.
I got Colts.
Chargers versus Ravens.
You know, what? Chargers versus Ravens? Chargers.
Colts versus Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Chargers versus Patriots.
Chargers.
So I'll blank here. So it'll be Chargers versus Chiefs.
Chiefs.
All right, moving over to the NFC, we have Bears versus Eagles.
There's something about sneaking into the playoffs that the Eagles, I think they're going to perform. Give me the Eagles.
And Cowboys versus Seahawks.
Cowboys.
Eagles versus Saints.
Saints.
And Rams versus Cowboys.
Cowboys.
And Cowboys versus Saints.
Saints. They get them this time.
And your Super Bowl winner is?
Kansas City.
All right. So Mike says the Chiefs. Billy says the Saints. That'll do it for this Monday show. Anybody got anything to close before we head out?
Go Noles.
As always, got a long time to get there. What about you, Mike?
Go Chiefs, man. I would love to bring another championship back to the city.
Yep. We'll see if they can get over constantly choking. That's it for RTF Sports Talk. Join us tomorrow.